We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. A playground for some. For others, it's where they make their living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant.
The sea takes no prisoners. You always have to be prepared for the worst.
The sea is a beast. If you weren't anxious about it, you're not doing the right job.
The water was freezing.
I was thinking I was going to die.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of over 5,000 ordinary people, ready to leave their jobs, their families, and race to our rescue.
Steady, steady. Go for it.
When the pagers go off, your heart stops. Is this a life and death situation?
In the water. You're okay, pal. Let go of the sail, mate. Let go of the sail.
Even that 1 second could make a huge difference to someone at home. 1 minute they've got a son or a daughter, the next minute they may not.
There we go. Emily, high five. Well done. Nice one.
I didn't think we'd get them back. I was just thinking, just please.
Are you the parents?
The lifeboat crew, without them, there's no doubt about it, we'd have lost our girls.
Equipped with their own cameras,
Am I switched on?
It's on.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it.
Good stuff, that's it.
Speeding into the roughest storms, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
Gotcha.
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
If something goes wrong, you could be the only person between them and death.
Salcombe, on the south coast of England, lies within the South Devon area of outstanding natural beauty.
Fishing industry is a really big part of where we are, certainly for Salcombe, and then further down the coast, Brixham, Plymouth, there's a very strong and thriving fishing community. We have ships pass by, we have cruise ships pass by, we have yachtsmen. I think just about every type of craft comes in or out of Salcombe at one time or another.
Watching over all this sea traffic, as it has done for the last 150 years, is the lifeboat station.
We've got 2 lifeboats. One's a Tamar class all-weather lifeboat, so capable of going to sea in any condition. And the second boat is an Atlantic 85, and that's more of an inshore boat, so that'll whiz up and down the coast and up to about 5-6 miles offshore.
Late April, a hint of a breeze, flat, calm seas. The crews of the Salcombe lifeboats are out on routine training exercises, honing their skills so when the pagers go off, they're ready.
We were simulating injured persons on board a yacht. So we actually had a yacht at anchor with one of our mannequins that we always use. We call him Dead Fred.
Okay, so he's unresponsive, so that means he's big sick straight away. Oh, we got a shout by the looks of it.
The moment the pager went off, everything changed.
Right, back in the boat, boys. Get yourself in.
It was, right, drop everything, get back to the big boat as quick as possible. Fishing vessel, 8 miles south, on fire. That's what we heard. When you hear the words fishing vessel and fire, for me it makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. You know they have tried everything, and you are the last resort.
Suddenly you're thinking straight away, oh my God, is that a friend of mine, someone I know well? As you do tend to know a lot of them, especially here in Salcombe.
The options you've got when you've got a fire in your boat are you either fight the fire safely or you just abandon ship, and more often abandoning ship is the way to go, but even that in itself can be a deadly thing to do.
As well as the all-weather lifeboat, the smaller inshore boat, also out on a training exercise, is tasked to the location, following information the Coast Guard received not from the skipper of the burning boat, but from his mother.
My phone went and it flashed up Joe, and it was a bit of a surprising call because it was, Mum, you've got to help, the boat's on fire and sinking. Can I ring the Coast Guard? For some reason, in the panic, he didn't think of 999 was Coast Guard. So the only thing he thought of was, ring Mum, she'll sort it.
With only scant second-hand information, the crew race to the scene, unsure how bad the fire is or how many people are on board the burning vessel.
Having covered a couple of miles, then you could see the smoke billowing out, and it looked like World War II film with lots of smoke pouring out of the thing.
Commercial fishing vessel carries a lot of fuel because they're out at sea for a long time. It's basically a floating bomb.
At that point, we still didn't know if there was anyone else with them. Usually with a boat, there would be another one, or possibly two. There's loads of places that potentially someone could be trapped.
As the crews draw closer, they spot a small life raft close to the burning vessel. The faster ILB goes ahead to investigate.
You might think you're safe in a life raft. Life rafts can get turned over in rough weather. Life rafts can burn if they get too close to the boat, and if he's in the water, you're in big trouble.
It is really scary because there's nothing you can do. You're sort of willing the lifeboats to race to the scene. We tried ringing him again, but we couldn't get through. Then you're thinking, has something else happened? Because you just don't know.
The ILB reaches the life raft, and the crew of the following boat listen anxiously for news.
We weren't exactly sure how many people were on board. The fire was quite fierce. You could see the orange flames appear and licking, and if there was somebody on board there, they weren't going to be alive.
They poured him out into the lifeboat. And I just remember looking at him and just seeing the sheer relief on his face to see that he was safe.
You could just see that he was and had been through something that was really frightening.
The boat I was on was called the Peace and Plenty 3. I was bringing the boat back round from Plymouth to Brixham for a paint-up and a couple of minor little repairs, something I knew I could do on my own. The sea was beautiful, the weather was nice, and it was just one of those days that seemed like nothing could go wrong. And then at the engine room vents, I saw there was black smoke coming out of it.
So just stay there until he's ready.
I opened the engine room hatch and I looked down and seen flames on the floor right beneath the ladder, which is where our firefighting equipment was as well. When you're in that kind of situation, the first thing that goes through your mind is, I'm going to die. And it was at that instant I decided that I was going to get off that boat.
He definitely did the right thing there. He made all the right calls, all the right decisions. He got into that life raft. He'd done everything to the book, if you like.
If he had tried to fight that fire, things could have turned out a lot differently. Smoke inhalation is one of the biggest dangers in confined areas on boats, and before you know it, he could have passed out, and it just could have been a lot worse. We passed him some warm clothing, wrapped him up, and really to get him ashore was the fastest option. So the ILB just passed the life raft to us, and then they just sped back to shore as quick as they could with him.
Usually the lifeboat would tow the fishing boat back to shore, but in this case that isn't an option.
You could see how hot it was. The steel of the boat was almost like white hot, all the paint burning off of the side of the boat. I've never seen anything like that before.
The crew tether the inflatable life raft to the cooler stern of the fishing boat, so its flashing light can warn other vessels of the danger. Then they follow the casualty and the other crew back to Salcombe to wait for the fire to burn itself out.
By the time I got into the harbour on the inshore lifeboat, I remember seeing my mum and just wanting to cry.
Seeing him get off the lifeboat all safe. A boat can be replaced. It's a huge loss, it's his livelihood. Lots of personal things have gone, but they can be replaced. A son can't.
I was there when she was towed back into Brixham. You could still smell the burning. And when we looked inside, there was absolutely nothing left. It looks like it was the electrics in the engine room, which had overheated and then created a spark. It's one of them freak accidents. It could have happened to anyone, but unfortunately it was myself. I like to think that I've got one hell of a guardian angel to get me out of a situation like that.
Yeah, I think definitely that guy had somebody looking over him that day. Probably his mother.
From faulty electrics to inexperience to weather that can change in a heartbeat. When you venture out onto the water, almost anything can catch you out.
I've seen some of the best skippers out there getting caught out. There's people who drive boats every day. It just takes that one thing for 1 second and you're in trouble.
1, 2, 3, and I got you, mate. Right.
You'd be daft if you didn't admit that you'd been caught out at sea, because you learn from it. Your fellow crewmates will learn from it as well. It's not something to be ashamed of.
You ready?
Everyone has their moment. I've certainly had my moments. I've had equipment failures, and that can change your day massively.
Afternoon! How's it going, fellas? You all right?
The tide is always turning. The depth of the water constantly changes. The weather constantly changes. And you never know what you're going to get.
Are you all right?
You don't ever want to underestimate what the sea or the weather's capable of. You can head out in what appears to be relatively calm weather, but the weather can soon turn and catch you out.
I think it's really easy to get caught out at sea. That's why we're here, you know? That's what people need us for.
As well as its coastal stations, the RNLI also operates inland, with the first river stations opening on the Thames in 2002.
The Thames may look inviting, jump in, cool off on a nice hot summer's day. It's not the place to be swimming around. The water's disgusting. If you get some of the Thames water in your mouth, you feel really ill for a couple of days. It's also freezing cold as well, no matter what time of year it is. It may look calm as anything on the surface, but underneath, you know, there's shopping trolleys, there's debris everywhere, so you don't really want to be in there for any period of time.
Chiswick Station in West London covers a 14-mile stretch between Richmond and Battersea, ready to respond to anyone or anything caught out by the river.
We have a very wide variety of calls. The dog walkers, the dogs, we have people falling in, we have people who have had a little bit too much to drink.
Oh no.
And that's just on the people side of things. We have a lot of boats, a lot of rowing clubs around here.
We're known for our university boat race, so there's quite a lot of people practicing, novices, just learning to row, so they're falling out. So it's varied here at Chiswick.
Because of the need for rapid response times, a mixture of full-time and volunteer crew at Chiswick work shifts and remain at the station on permanent standby.
So I'm one of the few full-time helms at Chiswick, and we have a whole crew of about 60 volunteers.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
We're on a 24/7 basis, 365 days a year, and our volunteers do 12-hour shifts. They don't respond to a pager. They don't need to live right on our doorstep, so they come in for 12 hours. They're with either myself or one of the other full-time staff. And together as a group of 3 or 4, we make the complement up for the day or the night shift.
We're the second busiest station in the country. Our response time has to be much quicker. Other stations launch in about 10-15 minutes. We're away on the water in 90 seconds.
The Chiswick station responds to an average of 200 shouts a year.
We have a direct line from the Coast Guard.
It's just an old-style telephone with an extra loud ringer on it.
We call it the bat phone. It makes you jump out of your skin because it always goes off when you least expect it.
A sunny Sunday afternoon in late September. Blue skies, tide on the turn.
So the initial call was for a dog in the water. Liam and myself, we made our way down to the boat, got the boat fired up and ready to launch. I've seen a dog drown. And I've seen a dog nearly drown, and the fear in their eyes is no different from a human, so I have a need to try and get them out as much as I would with anyone else.
As the crew speed to the scene, the already urgent shout takes a turn for the worse.
Some more information comes over the radio that the owner has now entered the water. For us, that sends goosebumps all over your body.
If you've got people in the water or animals in the water, they're always a time-critical call. We have sirens, we have blue lights, and we try to make the best speed we can to get to the scene. We have fast-flowing currents, up to 10 knots, which is about 11.5 miles an hour. So you can travel half a mile in minutes. From the initial call, it took us 10 minutes to actually arrive at Wandsworth Bridge, so that was pretty quick. She wasn't adrift, which is a big bonus. She'd gone down the steps and recovered the dog at the steps, which was really good, but they were straight up and down, so she couldn't climb any further. The dog was resting on her legs, and she was pretty much wedged there.
Do you want to grab the dog and I'll grab her? The casualty was gripping onto the ladder with all of her might. There's a big force of water pushing on that lady. And fair play, she was holding on to that dog and that ladder. There's just pure adrenaline power in that.
No, mate, you all right? Yeah. As we've arrived, we create a wash that will follow us in, so we have to make a very slow approach, so we don't want to trap her with the boat. Go back.
She was quite reluctant to let go of the dog, as you would be if it was yours, but she wasn't going to hold on for much longer, and that would have resulted in her going into the river and into the tide.
Right.
Don't let me go.
No, that's fine. We've got you. Don't worry.
I've got you.
Get you in first.
Oh, thanks.
It's okay. Take a seat. Come over here. Come over here. That's it. Keep coming. So we grabbed the casualty off of the ladder. We had to get all of her trust in us to bring her on board and for us to take care of Brodie. She's quite a sizable thing. It's quite a struggle getting her on board.
The dog was shivering a little bit, but quite compliant and I think very eager to get into the boat.
Okay, are you cold?
Get a blanket.
As soon as the dog came on board, the excitement was intense. We were trying to deal with the casualty, where Brodie was trying to have fun and games.
Have you drunk any of this water?
No.
No.
I'm not sure whether she has, though.
We'll get the blankets for the dogs and the humans, so basically stop the dogs from soaking us when they have a good shake.
We were trying to do as much casualty care as we could in the short journey, and Brodie was getting in the way and thought it was grand to give us all kisses and get us all soaking wet.
It's a very hot, sunny day, and we decided to stroll along the river. Brodie all of a sudden went under the fence and she was on the ledge and she slipped, she lost her footing and she went in. I was absolutely mortified. I thought, she's going to drown. This is it, I've lost Brodie. And it was only when somebody shouted, oh, there's a ladder further down, that I got her to swim towards the ladder.
Hello, mate.
Oh, thanks ever so much,
That's
guys.
all right, no problem.
I thought nobody'd get to me.
No, we were...
It just seemed ages.
Yeah. She was incredibly lucky for us to arrive when we did. It could have been potentially a nasty outcome, but luckily we got there just in enough time.
Don't need it.
Yeah, I'll take her for a moment.
Like that. It's good. Good. Love it.
Oh, thanks ever so much.
What would I say to the crew that rescued Brodie? They have got my eternal thanks and my gratitude. They are, well, my lifesaver.
Brodie. Good girl.
Having a successful outcome is always nice. It's the dog's happy, the owner's happy. We're happy because we've done our job. It's what we train for. It's happy days all round, really.
I'd definitely class that as a life saved.
Thanks, guys.
I'd certainly say that was a dog saved, yeah.
The Bristol Channel, stretching from the mouth of the Severn Estuary to the Celtic Sea, is the UK's largest natural inlet with a world-class claim to fame.
The estuary we've got here has the second highest tidal range in the world, some 13 metres. Having such a big tidal range can very easily catch people unawares. It can rise or fall a good 3 metres an hour at its fastest.
Over 70 miles long and 30 miles across at its widest point, the Bristol Channel also contains just about every maritime hazard, from islands to sandbars and mudflats and extremely busy shipping lanes.
There is a saying that if you can manage boats in the Bristol Channel, you can manage them anywhere.
Watching over this vast and dangerous stretch of water are 15 lifeboat stations, including Penarth and Barry Dock on the Welsh coast.
So we got an all-weather lifeboat, Trent class. From Barry, we cover both the Welsh and the English coastlines, so it's a huge area to cover. Penarth are our nearest neighbours. They're 6 miles up the coast from Barry. Our flank stations are a huge resource for us, particularly the inshore stations.
We do a lot of training sessions together, and the crew will often visit each other's station for familiarisation with the different boats and equipment.
What we thought we'd do for you guys, if you haven't been on the boat, is just to show you around.
We need to make sure that we keep a relationship going with our flank stations. You want to know each other's names. You want to know what their boats are capable of. We don't see each other very often on a shout, but when you do, you really need each other.
Late March, early morning, fastest tide of the year.
I was in bed, asleep when my pager went off. I went to the window and opened the curtains and saw how misty and foggy it was, and it looked quite gloomy. So the first thoughts going through my head were, when you can't see the other side of the channel, you know, it's going to be quite difficult out there.
The call has come in that 3 commercial sailors are missing from their ship and are now overdue.
Okay, everyone holding on. Powering on. Release.
Three men had left Whitmore Bay in Barry early hours of the morning in a small orange rescue vessel, heading back to a ship off the coast of Minehead, and hadn't arrived back at the ship.
Head down to the island, and then we're going to come back towards Flatholm, okay?
Ordinarily, for something of this nature, you would expect there to be support from a search and rescue helicopter, but due to the conditions, they were grounded. And so we requested we launch the lifeboats at Burnham-on-Sea, Weston-super-Mare and Penarth to start helping to search the areas up tide of where we were searching.
I was told the Barry Dock were already on the water, Minehead were on the water as well. If our flank stations are being tasked at the same time as us, you know that the shark's probably going to be a big one.
We knew there was going to be an orange boat had been reported overdue with 3 sailors on board, somewhere in the Bristol Channel. It's a huge area, and we knew the time was of the essence.
If you pick anything really small up on radar, Jan, let me know.
Hearing the phrase overdue has a bit of a resonance with me. My aunt drowned in a boating accident, and they were overdue, but nobody called it in till about 6 hours after the accident happened. So, yeah, it makes me prick up my ears and think about that, and I don't want that situation to happen to them. And the adrenaline gets going. You kick into another gear, and you go, right, let's get out there and let's find them.
Okay, James, can you look on that side of the boat again? And I'll look on the port side.
An hour after the sailors were reported overdue, there are now 6 boats from 4 different stations and 24 crews scouring the Bristol Channel looking for them.
We all on the boat realised the amount of time that they'd been missing for starts to reduce the likelihood of finding them safe and well.
You're thinking about what the tide's doing, how fast it's going to be running, what condition the casualties are in, have they fallen in the water, are they hypothermic? It's always in the back of your mind that you could potentially be recovering 3 bodies.
Okay, I carry on. That's very helpful. There's nothing discernible.
Okay.
They could have easily have been run over by a ship, so there was a real risk that actually we were looking for 3 people in the water. It's really hard to spot somebody in the water even when the conditions are good. Fog makes that eminently more difficult.
Working in the fog is a hell of a lot harder. You've got that need to go and find people, but you have to slow everything down in the fog.
The visibility was so poor once we were out at sea that your mind very much plays tricks on you, and where you're trying to work out whether it's the local shipping buoys or is it a vessel that you can see. It's very deceptive.
What's that black bit in the water? It's a bucket. That's a bucket. That's all right, Jim. Yeah, we'll go back to it.
Though the report only came in an hour ago, the sailors have now been missing for well over 5 hours. And because of the fast-flowing tide, with each passing minute, the search area grows larger.
Okay, everyone hold on.
We concluded that they might have made it to one of the 2 islands in the middle of the channel, and so we saw those as things to go and check out and search as part of this.
On the boat radio, speak to the D-class and say that we've gone down to Sully Island. We're on our way to Plateau. They give us an update when they finish doing their area. In my head, if they were on the route from Barry back to their cargo ship at Minehead, if they'd lost any power, they would have drifted probably quite quickly and moved considerably on the tide up to the area that we were searching. So I was just looking out for anything unusual on the shoreline, on the islands, and obviously for orange rib.
As we approached Flatholm Island through the rain showers, we rounded the island to the north side and spotted an orange boat high and dry on the beach.
My first thoughts were, that doesn't look like a rib.
What are those classic boats called again? Are they called Jano? They looks like a Jano, but is that not a rib? I know it's not an inflatable.
There's life jackets in there as well.
Hello?
Called it in to the Coast Guard. Said, well, it's not an orange rib, it's more like a Jano with a 20 horsepower engine on the back.
Yeah, just a sit rep. We have currently reached Flatholm Island and found a small, it's not a rib, it's a small orange vessel. Some life jackets inboard, but no person visible, over.
This is Milford Roger, that sounds a lot like our vessel. Are you able to put anyone ashore to have a look over?
Yeah. 2 crew members.
There's a relief that you may have found them, but you found the boat, not the people. And we know there's 3 sailors missing.
Flatholm Island, a former cholera sanatorium, is now a largely uninhabited nature reserve populated by seabirds, teams of seasonal volunteers and a full-time warden.
When James and I got onto the island, we had a look in the boat and there were 2 silver, foil jackets, obviously being used in the bottom of the boat. So there were definitely 2 people that had left that boat.
Go straight up the steps, mate. We need to see if there's people there.
There's no sign of anyone with the boat, so we know we need to now search the island to find out where they are and to find out if they're injured.
All right, get in touch with the D-class on 31. Time to come to Flatholm.
You don't really know what sort of state you're going to find them in. You don't know how cold they're going to be, whether all of them are there, whether somebody's fallen out of the boat. It was really important that we found them on the island quickly.
My main focus was to think, if I'd come ashore, where would I head? Which for me would be the main inhabited building. So I made a beeline for that whilst Jen was checking all the smaller huts on the way over. Just shouting out all the way across the island, trying to get some response from anyone who might be there.
I was lying in bed, enjoying a lie-in. Knock, 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 knock. Matt! There's someone shipwrecked. So, I went downstairs to have a look, and there was 3 guys sat there with blankets on. They're all just shivering, and they sort of sheepishly looked up and were like, hi.
This is Penarth Lifeboat, go ahead of it.
We found 3 casualties on Flatholm Island, all safe and well. James is walking.
We didn't realise there was a big search operation going on.
until we went over to call the lifeguard. So we went outside to get better reception, and whilst we were outside, a guy came sprinting over, and we thought, okay, yeah, there's one crew out looking. And then before we knew it, there was 3-4 lifeboats surrounding the island, a Coast Guard helicopter landing, paramedics rushing over. So this very quiet island had gone from blissful peacefulness to just all action, go, go, go.
The Coast Guard lifeboat, we've located the 3 casualties on the island who are safe and well. Our Alpha is now doing more assessment with them, over.
It's a huge relief to know that the search part of it is over. You found the boat, you found the 3 casualties, and they seem to be okay.
People in the Coast Guard lifeboat, but yeah, our Lifeboat Alpha has spoken to the casualties and confirmed they are from the vessel. Their medical status is all fit and well, but they are very cold, over.
They were incredibly lucky. Those islands aren't particularly big, and it would have been a very easy thing for them to have been swept past those islands on the tide.
We go out on a lot of searches. We spend a lot of time out on the water and usually come home without finding anything. So to go out on this one and find 3 guys was a really good feeling.
It turns out that the casualties got lost in the fog on their way back to their ship from a spot of shore leave.
Hi guys. No problem.
I think they thought it would be very straightforward to just pop ashore and make their way back to the ship. But with the tides that we've got and the poor weather, it's just so easy to get lost.
When we found out that they'd been out in the middle of the channel in low visibility, when you think of the ships that are coming up and down, they were in quite a lot of danger.
We were delighted with the outcome, and for the crew, not just of our lifeboat station, but all of those crews involved, it was a great day for us.
That is my first successful search.
Coast Guard lifeboat, over.
We were tasked to go and find 3 guys in an orange rib. We found 3 guys in an orange rib, and they were being taken back nice and safely. Job done.
"50 miles east of London, at the mouth of the Thames estuary, lies the town of Sheerness.
Sheerness is a coastal resort. It's a holiday destination for many people from London. They do lots of water sports, angling, fishing. All around the island they do sailing, and there's several sailing clubs on the island. It's a busy little place in the summer months especially.
There's been a lifeboat here since 1970, with the current station responding to more than 100 shouts a year.
The area that we cover on Sheerness Lifeboat ranges right the way around the island. There can be cliff faces, mud flats, sandbars. It's a really mixed bag of coastline. Sometimes people are walking a dog or they're walking the kids and they're looking at the ships and don't necessarily realise that the water's coming in around them because the tidal range is quite high.
Local boy Malcolm has been on the lifeboat since 2010, juggling volunteering with the demands of running his fishing tackle shop with partner Kerry and their 2-year-old daughter Alice.
Me and Kerry met on the crew. Kerry joined the crew. And
we actually didn't get on very well, did we?
Yeah, no, we didn't get on initially.
We didn't get on at all, yeah.
Well, we did, but it was strictly professional, you know. That's how I looked at it. And then Kerry wanted some help with some chart work because she was struggling with some chart work, so I went round and gave her a hand with some chart work.
Have to plot courses?
Yes. Plotted a course to making Alice.
Currently left on maternity leave and haven't yet gone back. We struggle with childcare, so it's one or the other. And Malcolm's obviously more useful, he's helm, so for such a great cause and passion and the adrenaline rush and the buzz that you get from the pager going off to getting down there, seeing what you need to do, it's yeah, I miss it. Hopefully when she's a bit older I get the chance to go back and try and squeeze back into where I was and progress.
Parenting and volunteering make for uneasy bedfellows, because when the pager goes off, so so must you.
It's exactly what happens when the pager goes off. See you later.
Saturday evening, early March, tide rising.
So the information was that we had a young lad stuck in the mud at the bottom of some cliffs.
The casualty, we got told, had been stuck for quite some time. It was dark and getting colder.
The casualty is around 3.5 miles away from the station, somewhere between Minster and Eastchurch.
I've been tasked along that particular stretch on a few occasions. It is quite treacherous in that the tide can cut you off and the mud is really soft. And if I'm honest, I've got to admit that I've been stuck there myself when I was a 10-year-old boy.
It is cold outside, so we've got risk of hypothermia and also shock, mainly.
People start panicking when they're in mud, and then that's when it just starts going wrong, because you just start sinking quicker.
Because of the shallow, muddy conditions expected around the casualty, the decision is made to launch the D-Class, which will be able to get right up to and even onto the shore. The D-Class has a maximum speed of 25 knots, which should get the crew to the scene in under 10 minutes. But though time is critical, so is getting to the casualty safely.
When you go out at night time, you've got to stay switched on and make sure everyone's focused at trying to look for the same thing.
Can you see, Mel? You see?
There's a lot of stuff in Sheerness Harbour to aid you in navigating a boat. Big flashing buoys or sticks or marks that everyone knows there that are charted. But there's always a log in the dark or a buoy that's not charted. There's always a possibility of hitting stuff like that.
Get down a bit lower.
The casualty alerted the Coast Guard using his mobile phone. He was advised to use its light to help guide the lifeboat to his position. But there's a problem.
The next part of the information was that the young lad only had 2% left on his phone, which really worried me straight away. We've got a massive area that we needed to search, and if we're trying to find somebody, it's going to take a while.
Organisation of the parapet, and they've done a bit to various terms at the Eastchurch Holiday Centre.
We was trying to get to him as quick as we could, even though we maybe have got 4 people in the boat and there's 4 eyes on. To try and find somebody in the middle of the night underneath some cliffs, it's going to be really, really difficult.
Mal, what's that light over there? I just saw a light.
They just gave us a rough time he left and what time he called Coast Guard. So between the crew, we worked out how long it should take to walk from Eastchurch to Sheerness and how far he really should get. And then that's when we saw a light.
Strike, what's that light? Straight on the nose of the boat, on the edge of the corner. Just watch it, look. See it light up? Dead ahead over there, you've got a light that keeps flashing. The last set of white lights.
Yeah, no, I think I see it. I'll get it.
Yeah.
Me and a couple of other crew was like, yeah, it's him. Let's get there quick and get it done.
Keep an eye on where that light comes.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that light. It's dead there.
Keep an eye on that. That's that man. Yeah, that's him.
It's got to be in it.
Got to be, yeah, that's it, mate.
Whereabouts is that? That's Eastchurch Holiday Park. Yeah. At the bottom of the cliffs.
As they draw closer, the crew realise it's not just one light flashing in the dark.
So there's 2 lights there, mate.
We got there and it's like, okay, no, it's not him. And and we could clearly see it was a couple of fishermen off the shoreline.
It looks like it's a pair of anglers.
They've got a telephone phone.
It feels like 5 to 10 minutes you've lost, and you sort of kick yourself a little bit because it's not, that's not what you went there for.
After valuable time lost chasing down the wrong light, the crew resume their search, aware that the tide is rising, the temperature is falling, and the casualty's phone is running out of power.
We was worried a bit about the time. The tide was coming in a bit more. Our options was really running out. We was on the verge of calling the helicopter.
Helm made the decision to start coming back along the cliffs And as we did, straight away there was this tiny little light, not as clear as the first light we saw, but we could definitely see something. There's something twinkling.
What's got another light there? What's got another flashing light there?
We're going to investigate that.
I think that's him, mate. Not a lot, by the looks of things.
As we got closer and closer, he started trying to wave the light. So then that's when we realised that we was going to the right place.
It would have been a lot more difficult to find him without the light. We have got equipment on the boat that help. We've got like thermal imagery camera and stuff on the boat, but him having that light made our job a lot easier.
Yeah, it's definitely him, boys.
They found the casualty, but the crew also discover he's dangerously close to the rising waterline. They need to get him out fast without becoming casualties themselves.
Our plan for when we got there really was to make sure that, we didn't put ourselves in danger straight away, because obviously if he's sinking in mud, then, are we in danger as well?
Yeah. The casualty when we first got there was panicking and shivering and not making a lot of sense.
Yeah, boys, I'll be your torchman.
So it gets alarm bells ringing, and all I was thinking, and all the other guys were thinking, was we've got to get him off the beach quickly and get him warm again.
Logan, come on, stand up. After we legs, okay, Aaron, can you do me a favour, mate?
Yep.
Just want to put him away from here and onto the sand. Can you get his legs for me, please, mate?
Yes, no.
I did get him underneath the arms, trying to start pulling him. He started to come up a little bit, and then just stuck. So it was just bare hands. We had to use our bare hands. We didn't have any shovels or anything like that, and we just started to try to dig him out. That's all we could do.
3, 2, 1, Logan. I'm just going to pull you, mate, all right?
He's out, Dammer. He's out.
Yeah. Okay, mate. You're out in the mud, all right? Logan, all right? You're going to be all right, son, all right? Yeah? We'll get you to safety in a minute.
Do you want me to go get a blanket?
The casualty, now free from the mud, is still far from safe.
He was freezing, his body was shutting down, and that was the cold and the mud and how wet he was as well. He was in massive danger.
With the temperature heading to a low of 7 degrees, he's at risk of developing severe hypothermia.
Hypothermia can kill you. And the casualty at the time had been stuck for over an hour, and it was dark, and he was wet and exhausted from struggling.
The crew call for assistance from the Coast Guard and do what they can to warm him up.
I'll pass the message on. Yeah, get the blankets. Jace, tell Coast Guard to meet us at Minster Beach. Yeah, for the extraction.
You could see that he was getting cold, he was going pale, he was shivering, and he just wanted to sleep, close his eyes at all times. So we managed to put a balaclava on him, then put a blanket on him.
Logan, you can't walk, mate, can you? No, that's all right, mate, no worries, that's fine, mate, don't worry. We'll get you onto the boat, don't worry.
It might feel a little uncomfortable, mate, but it's just to keep your face warm, all right?
Where the casualty had exhausted himself trying to pull himself out the mud, his legs didn't want to work.
3, 2, 1, up we go.
So we pretty much picked him up and carried him between us onto the boat.
Just bear with me, Logan. I've got one leg. Just need you to lift the other up.
And then laid him down. Told him that it was probably going to be not very comfortable for 10 or 15 minutes until we got him to shore.
Gonna keep you warm like this, yeah? You warming up a little? Yeah. Just also try and keep your eyes open for us and all, yeah, mate?
When someone's really cold like that, they feel like they might want to go to sleep. It's important for us to not let them go to sleep.
Logan, mate, can you hear us?
Keep talking to us, yeah? Aaron?
Yep.
My job on the way back was just to keep him awake, talking, and just to try and warm him up.
Go on, Logan, keep talking to us, mate, about anything. Been watching the football today? Not a football man? Rugby?
You come out of really, really random things, from what's your favourite colour to, do you like boats? I'm sure he doesn't like boats because he's now in a boat that's travelling really fast and he's getting knocked about everywhere. But you all come out of random questions. As long as you get a yes or a no back on that, that's you're happy at the end of the day.
Do you still at college? Do you have a job? What do you work as? I don't know, I can't remember. You can't remember what you work as?
I can't feel like that.
It's just your legs you can't feel, yeah? Got any back pain? A little bit of back pain, yeah? Are you warming up at all? No! Damien, try and get me another blanket out.
Yeah, mate, yeah.
So when I was speaking to him and I saw that he didn't reply or respond...
Logan, yeah? Good, keep talking to me. Drifting.
Yeah, it became a bit more of a worry because I wasn't sure whether he's passed out.
Just keep talking to me, mate. Nearly there. Nearly there. Won't be too long now. If you count to 10 with me, and we'll be there, yeah? Try and count with me, come on. Yep. Yeah, look at that. Didn't even have to get to 10, mate. We're here, yeah?
When we got him back to the meet-up with Coast Guard and ambulance, we grabbed a stretcher from the Coast Guard truck.
Right, Logan, we're just going to move your legs, mate.
Right, Logan.
Ready on your call, on your call.
Yep, are you ready?
Yep.
Steady, and roll, roll, stop. And yep, very good.
Yeah, just kick me feet.
I remember being dragged off that mud pile onto the shore. Then I remember feeling the bumps on the boat, and then I remember laying on a stretcher. It was all quite a blur for me.
Just support his neck, Jay. And now I'm just going to wrap him again.
I was walking towards Sheerness when it started getting dark, so I decided to head back. The sea was coming in, meaning I had to go more and more inshore. Coming up towards East Church, I had to go over this sort of mound of mud. As soon as I put my right leg onto it, my leg just went straight through.
Logan, stay with us. Stay with us. Keep talking for us, Logan, yeah?
I was trying to dig myself out. I was trying to sort of throw my body about to pull it out. But as I was digging, I just sunk deeper. And at that point, I got really concerned. I was thinking I was going to die.
Okay, ready? Brace, lower.
The casualty, Logan, is transferred to an ambulance and treated for hypothermia.
I don't think I realised how serious it was until we actually got it over and done with and that he was in safe hands again. And then obviously when I got back to the station is when it probably set in that we actually just technically saved a young lad's life.
I'm so thankful to them. I've seen them and thanked them personally, because without that group of people, I could have been gone that day.
I think that if we hadn't have intervened, then the outcome would have been different. So, yeah, I think it was a life saved, yeah.
Of the 15 lifeboat stations watching over the Bristol Channel, the busiest is Porth Call on the south coast of Wales, averaging around 70 shouts a year.
Porth Call's situated pretty much right in the middle of the Bristol Channel, I'd say. We've got nearly everything on the Porth Call patch. Caves, rivers, big expanses of beaches.
We get cracking surf coming in, brings a lot of tourism in, and then we literally go the other way up the coastline and we got sheer cliff faces, jagged rocks. It can be a very, very dangerous coastline then.
Porth Call Station has two boats, an Atlantic 85 and the smaller D-Class, as well as a team of 36 operational volunteers ready to respond to the pager at a moment's notice, whenever that might be.
The most inconvenient time for the pagers to go off has to be probably when I'm on the toilet.
When you're in bed at 12, 1 o'clock at night and the pagers go off and then you know you've got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work, you know, it's not great then.
I don't know. I either spend a lot of time on the toilet or the pager goes off at the most inconvenient times, I don't know.
But when the pagers do go off, all available volunteers make their way to the station, aware not only that every second is crucial in a potentially life or death situation, but also that the first on station are most likely to get a seat on the boat.
The thing you're looking for as you arrive down the lifeboat station is how many cars are there, how many crew have got there before you. And on this particular occasion, I could see the boat actually pulling out of the lifeboat station, so I knew there was no chance that I would be going afloat.
The reason for the rapid launch today is that the call-out is to a suspected person in the water.
When you hear those words, it makes the hairs on your back of your neck stand up, and you really focus on the task in hand.
Are they alive? Are they not alive? Something you're going to get there as quickly as you can and hopefully try and, you know, get them on the boat and getting them recovered, get them back to the station as quickly as possible.
With time a major factor, the faster Atlantic 85 is launched first, followed almost immediately by the D-Class. Both boats speed to the Ogmore River, just over 3 miles from the station, where the casualty has been spotted.
We've had quite a few shouts at the Ogmore River, and there are very, very strong currents and little crevices in the banks of the river, so you can get swept into those little spots. So we know it is quite a serious place to get called out to. Depends on the tide and the conditions as well.
Hold on. At the time, the tide was going out, so, you know, time is more critical than getting on scene, because with the river mouth, obviously all the water going down into the ocean, and it creates a good current which can drag the casualties out to sea.
En route to the scene, more information comes through about the potential casualty.
First informant gave the information to the Coast Guard that they had apparently, I think they heard calls for help and noticed a log floating across the river with a red object which appeared to be clinging on to the log itself.
With the state of tide, there was a lot of debris in the water, so it was just eliminating all the debris and just looking for that red object.
Where are the flats at?
Bristol Channel is not the most clear of water, so it is very hard to see someone in the water. You know, if they're not waving to you, it can be very difficult.
Back at the station, the crew who didn't make it onto a boat still play an active part in the shout, monitoring the radio, scanning the bay, looking for a flash of red amid the blue.
But no, it's always good for us just to have an extra pair of eyes using the binoculars, just in case you do come across anything that doesn't seem quite right.
Once the lifeboat had launched and the tractor was safely at the top of the slipway, we all tend to huddle around the radio to listen to the developments, just to know whether we need to do anything, get the defibrillator ready or get the lifeboat station prepared. It's almost like a mini command centre. You've got the station management here ready to help when they can, along with all the fellow crew that haven't quite made the boat. If it is somebody who is needing CPR, by the time the lifeboat gets back to the lifeboat station, the crew on board will be physically, emotionally and mentally exhausted, and that's when it would be down to us to take over.
But as they gather round the radio and scour the coastline, the news coming back is not encouraging.
I've seen nothing in the river mouth, and we suspect that if there is anybody in the water, it is river, over.
When the lifeboat arrives on scene and there's nothing to report, that's when you start to question the outcome of this incident. It's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be something of nothing, or it's going to be tragic.
Thought process as helm is, what other assets can we use? Is it worth getting more, you know, for instance, a helicopter on scene, other maybe flank stations to maybe support us in finding this casualty?
The decision is made to split up, with the 85 standing guard at the river mouth, while the D-Class heads upriver to conduct a shoreline search in the shallower waters.
You're pretty much just scanning a lot of crevices, so you're making sure that you're looking into these sort of areas where the current can flow.
You've got a line of debris in front of you.
We are taught to not move your eyes but move your head, just to decrease that time of, you know, getting tired eyes. But trying to look for a tiny little point in the expanse of a sea, it can be very tiring. It doesn't sound like much, but it can be exhausting.
The report was of a person hanging to a log coming down the Ogmore River.
Yeah. We're going down the waters, but my concern is it was too far.
We went up the river as far as we could, as safely as possible, and then once we got to a level where we couldn't go any further, we turned around and come back. And we're checking the bank and obviously the river itself. We're hoping to find somebody or something, but we're hoping not to find anything really in the best case scenario. So we're looking possibly for a body, a person who's injured maybe, someone who's semi-conscious, you don't know. We were coming down about 100 metres from the river and mouth, and Simon, who was helming, said, "What's that on the bank?"
There is something over there on the edge of the water, look. On the edge of the river, yeah? It's red.
I think we could just about see a red object now and then in the surf line, but you know, we couldn't make out what it was.
The decision was made then to go ashore and just investigate as to what this item or object was.
When we heard that they had spotted something on the beach and they were sending a person ashore to check it out, there's an element of relief, but then at the same time, what condition are they on the beach? So it's the not knowing can be really, really quite frustrating.
I was put ashore. I made my way over to investigate as to what this red object was. It was a little red motorbike.
The news came through that the person in difficulty wasn't actually a person in difficulty, it was a child's plastic motorbike.
The child's toy with the log, I believe that was the one the first informant saw, because we were pretty happy just as a false alert.
Instantly you're met with a sense of relief to know that there isn't anybody out there. There isn't anybody that needs your help, and everybody is safe.
It's a little bike. It's a little red bike, but there is a log.
It does lighten the mood, yeah, especially when you come back with a little plastic motorbike.
Quite funny, really, because it was one of those ones where you went out with a little bit of dread, but then come back with a bit of humour. I suppose it was quite a funny feeling.
I can easily say I'd rather be picking up a toy motorbike than a body.
We'd rather be called out than maybe that one time where somebody doesn't call the Coast Guard and then maybe it is actually a person in the water who does need our help.
It's probably up there with one of the most strange things that we've rescued.
Something that was initially quite serious turned out to be something quite straightforward.
I've been called out to a seal before, who was fishing, and a member of the public was quite concerned that it might have been a person struggling. So we went out to see Sammy the seal. He didn't want our help, he was fine.
Back in South Devon, and despite the trauma of escaping from a burning boat, Joe still feels the pull of the ocean.
At first there was a bit of doubt whether I'd come back or not, but it was something that I knew I needed to do. It's always going to play on your mind a little bit, but got to get on with it. There's a job to do.
Joe is now crewing a new boat, and though no longer a skipper, is just happy to be back at sea.
This is the best job in the world. Out in the sun, out in the fresh air, and being your own boss. And hopefully I'll have a boat skipper again in the near future.
1, 2, 3, move.
Casualty was in a pretty bad way when we got to him. There was possibilities that there was hypothermia setting in. I was genuinely concerned for him.
Tried to hold the boat as steady as I could, and then there was a couple of larger waves that came in. I just wasn't sure on how I would get the kids out of there.
Just going to put this on your sweetheart, okay?
We had lifeboats, lifeguards, coast guards. Everybody was there, and one purpose was to save these two girls.
Okay, so lean back, lads.